Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here at this channel. My name is Ruth Lax. I'm a counselor, a therapist, and I work mainly with highly sensitive people and people who have been through or going through narcissistic and toxic relationships. And today I want to talk about something that comes up a lot in my clinic, and this week I just saw it everywhere I went with my clients, and that is the question of how do you know if the person you're dealing with is a covert narcissist or a highly functioning autist, what used to be called Asperger syndrome. And I know to begin with, the question sounds a bit harsh and unpleasant, and it seems like trying to put another thing on autism or something, or making it, I don't know, what it's not. And I have a hard time with this question myself, and I don't think it's not easy to deal with this specific question. But on the other hand, from what I see, as I said, every day, this dealing with this issue has many repercussions, I think you say, on how people go through divorces, how people go through breaking up relationships, how they go through dealing with a difficult boss, everything and anything that has to do with the difficult relationships and how to handle them. This question has to do with what you see standing in front of you and how you go about dealing with it. And I'll try to elaborate a bit more. As I think many people by now know, covert narcissism is a kind of narcissism that is not something that we used to think of narcissism as. When we used to think about narcissism as somebody who's very arrogant and think everything has to be his way and very loud and very show-off kind of person, that is what we call today the grandiose narcissist, and that's a whole different game. Even though many traits are common to all kinds of narcissists, still the grandiose narcissist is what we used to think of when we said the word narcissist. On the other hand, and that is a very important thing that we know about today and we talk about, there is a thing called covert narcissist, or maybe, I don't know if I could say it, but the quiet and a bit shy narcissist that has the same traits as not being empathic, feeling entitled, not taking responsibility, and all the usual things that we know about narcissists. But this is all covered in a quiet, shy, a bit hidden kind of personality, and the narcissistic views and these traits usually is something that only the close people, the people living with him, having a close relationship with him, working with him closely, being a close friend to this kind of person, only they get to see all this wonderful thing and all these wonderful traits and how they're being brought into the relationship. That's what covert narcissism is in a few words. And as I was saying it, talking about shyness a bit, being a bit closed, being a kind of person that is not somebody that you notice when you walk into a room, I think you can start and understand why the question of narcissism versus highly functioning autism comes up. Because many times what happens with autism is that all these a bit closed off, closed way of behaviors, and just being a bit afraid of the world and not taking part of what's going on socially, but within close relationships and inside a family, allowing yourself to be you, and that is that person that doesn't understand or has a hard time understanding social codes and what's going on, and inside your home or in your close relationship with your wife, with your children, with people that are close to you, you let your guard down and you allow yourself to be. That person doesn't get it, and because of that is many times not empathetic, doesn't realize what's going on, closed off in his own world in a way that doesn't take into consideration other people's feelings. And so, in that place exactly is where these two very different types of personalities seem similar and sort of meet. And what I would like to say is, first of all, that I'm happy that people are bringing up this question in my therapy sessions and in many other places, because it's important. As I said in the beginning, it's important to deal with and to ask ourselves these questions, and it's important to understand what's going on, and as a consequence of that, know what to do. That's one thing. The second thing is that I have to say, yes, many things might look similar. As I said, empathy is out of the question. Many times it comes with a feeling of entitlement. I even wrote down to myself a few things. Gaslighting could happen because the person doesn't understand the other person's perception, and so he sticks to his own and tells you, "Oh, what are you talking about? This is not true." And that's gaslighting in one sentence. Self-absorption, all kinds of things that are common to these two different situations. So, first of all, how do you tell the difference, and what do you do with it? I mean, what if you know, or you think this, it's one of the conditions and not the other one? What do you do differently? So I'll go back to the first question. What do you do about it? How do you tell the difference? I think I've used this week with my clients a few words that might help you make the distinction. One is that autistic people are rarely manipulative. You don't see in their eyes that they're not manipulative. What they are doing and the way they are going straight about their own business is something that has to do with them and not with doing something to you, not with seeing your reaction in the way that it hurts you and getting their narcissistic supply from it. It's something that has to do with them and the way they live their life and the way they're going to go about it, and not with you and your reaction. So less sophistication, less manipulation, a lot less. Even doesn't exist most of the time. As I said, having a hard time understanding social situations. And on the other hand, the narcissist, the covert narcissist, understands what's going on, and that's what he uses to his advantage. Even though he doesn't do it in a loud, all over the place way of behaving, but in a way that is more sneaking around it, and as I said, a bit like a victim and a shy and quiet person, and it looks different. But if we're talking about high functioning autism, those things don't exist. So that's another thing. What else? I used a lot the word dark, as I was talking to my clients this week. Something about a narcissistic person feels dark, feels like there's another side to them that is always conspiring and always looking for something else, someone to get their supply from by hurting them. And you don't see that with the high functioning autism. It's just, as I said before, someone who's going about his own way and is not understanding and doesn't see other people, and therefore is not empathic to other people in the same way as other people are. So those are the main differences: the manipulation and sophistication, going about his own business versus looking for ways to hurt you, and a sense of darkness of the soul that you can see in a narcissist's eye if you take a minute and you look into it, and you feel that something here is off, in the sense that he's really looking for a way to win by putting you down, which is different, as I said, from the autism. So those are the three main things. Aside from that, I would like to say that many times, as I see in my clinic, people don't think about it before the options are put on the table. But once you ask them if they're living with somebody, do you think he is a narcissist or has a high functioning autism? Many people, after a few years, after 20, 25 years of marriage, whatever, know the answer. They sense it, something in their body and their mind and the way they feel, they tell you. I even have clients that thought that they're dealing with a narcissist, and once we were starting to talk about autism and what it is, what it looks like, and how it could come about in their relationship, said suddenly like stopped the conversation and said, okay, you know what, this is it, it's different. I knew it in my gut, but I couldn't put my finger on it, and now I know. And that's another thing, besides all the things that I said before and are very important, of course. You know many times, if you just look into it and look into yourself and the way you feel, many times you would know. And that's another thing that you should pay close attention to. And after having said all of that, the next question that I want to ask is, okay, so I figured out it's this one or this one. I'm thinking my wife, my husband, my friend, my boss, my colleague is a covert narcissist or is a highly functioning autist. What do I do now? And an interesting answer is that many times the answer of what to do now lies in the same areas, and that is putting boundaries between you and them, with gray rocking and all the kind of behaviors that distance you from them emotionally, because then you don't get hurt, and that is the most important thing. Because many times, as I said, why do we confuse between autism and covert narcissism? Because the consequences to the other person, to the victim in this case, many times are the same. When you're not seen, when you're not receiving empathy, when somebody is feeling entitled over you because he just doesn't see you, many times the consequences that you suffer are very similar. The source is different, and understanding the source makes you look at the whole situation differently. But as far as behaving and as far as understanding what's going on between you and your own self and the way you are damaged by it, many times it's the same. And that's why many times the behavior that you should put into a close relationship, if you want to stay there, and even if you don't, even if you want to get a divorce, you still many times co-parenting or whatever, you have to deal with this person. Putting boundaries, gray rocking, and understanding, and not to expect empathy are very, very important on both cases. What is the difference? The difference is in understanding where this behavior is coming from. And I think many times when it's a narcissistic behavior, we tend to be more angry, and when it's an autistic behavior, we tend to be more compassionate. I have to say it the way it is, even though if you look into stories, life stories of narcissists, you could be compassionate also. I'm not saying that you should, but definitely not if you're the victim. But it's many times it comes from a long history of long family history or whatever. But still, somebody who understands what's going on and choosing or not choosing, that's a big question about the narcissistic. But anyway, knows what's going on, and he's hurting you through manipulation and he knows what he's doing. Yes, that's something that makes you angry more than compassionate. And with autism and the way that person behaves, and understanding that he really doesn't understand what he's doing most of the time, not because he's stupid or anything, not at all. I don't want anything like that, anything of what I'm saying to sound like that, not at all, because that's part of what autism is, and that's fine. And of course, it's not something that I would ever say, but understanding where it comes from, yes, that changes the way you see that person. But still, what you should do is distance yourself in any way you can emotionally, and not expecting anything, and treating yourself, loving yourself, dealing with your issues of codependency and anything that has to do with that area that usually goes with these relationships, and not expecting empathy or any of those behaviors, and knowing what is standing in front of you, and looking at the whole situation with different glasses that you didn't have before. Okay, I was trying to put in this into this video something that is very heavy and it's very complicated, and this is just, I mean, I would just touching this topic here, and I know that many people are going through this dilemma and are dealing with it, and it's very, very complicated. And of course, what I'm saying here is just, as I said, very general. You should always go, especially with this question, you should go and ask a therapist, a couple therapists, somebody who can see you, look you in the eye, and tell you what he thinks or what his impression is. And then, as I said, doing this video somewhere, connect to your inner gut and ask yourself, what am I feeling? Is this coming from narcissism or from highly functioning autism? And as I said, I think that many times the answer lies there. Okay, that was it for now. A bit longer than I usually do, but I hope that you made it all the way here. I would love to hear your comments and anything you have to say. As I said during this video, it's important for me that people would get this information and it will help them. It doesn't have anything to do with saying anything about autism or about anything on the autism spectrum as a criticism or anything else. Just laying out the facts out there about the difficulties of these relationships and how at times these difficulties can cause hard emotions, tough emotions to the people that are around that person. And I would love to hear from you. Join this channel. I'm putting out English videos once a week. I'm really making an effort on it, and I'm happy that you're joining it gradually. Tell me what you think. Of course, forward this video to anybody that you think might be able to use it. And thank you very much again, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.